New Orleans police are denying allegations that allege Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick has banned NBA Youngboy from performing in the city again. The rapper's two-day concert was a little cause for concern over safety, police saying, after his shows were canceled in other major cities like Atlanta. Reports have since spread online that included claims by the rapper's manager that NBA Youngboy has been banned for not leaving the city after his concerts. That was a condition of his contract with Live Nation and the Smoothie King Center. But the New Orleans Police Department says whether or not he performs future concerts is up to the promoters and management for the arena, who negotiate those agreements.
You won't believe what just went down. NBA Youngboy finally broke his silence about getting banned from Louisiana, and he's furious about it. Word is, I got the real scoop on what happened behind those New Orleans shows, and trust me, it's wild. The feds pulled up thinking his enemies were rolling through with heavy artillery. Can you imagine that? That's when Youngboy said, "Forget it," and started walking through Bourbon Street by himself, no security, no entourage, just him making a statement. But here's the twist. He knew this was coming. He knew they were going to try and ban him after those shows, so he went out swinging. That whole birthday walk through Bourbon Street wasn't random, it was his middle finger to the entire system trying to shut him down. This isn't just about one rapper getting banned, it's about how they treat young black men who refuse to bow down to control. Let's take it back for a second to October 2024. That's when Youngboy announced he was finally returning to Louisiana after 7 long years. This wasn't just a concert, this was his homecoming.
So I'm like, this only makes him look bigger than he is, because they're making this nigga look like he's a terrorist. Like, yo, if he comes to town, the murder rate is going crazy.
His 26th birthday celebration and his chance to show his home state that he made it big, despite everything they threw at him. But the moment those shows got announced, Louisiana's whole system freaked out. We're talking about Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, the same one who's been trying to block urban artists from New Orleans for years. The same woman who played a part in stopping Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl in his own city. According to people close to Youngboy's team, the police never wanted those shows to happen. The city was already broke, couldn't even pay staff properly, but suddenly they found the cash to deploy 400 extra officers for 2 rap concerts. That says it all. The math just wasn't making sense, and Youngboy's people started catching on fast. This wasn't just about safety concerns. It was about sending a loud message that young, successful black men from the hood still ain't welcome in their own home state. And that's where the federal fear tactics came in. Here's where it gets crazy. What I'm about to tell you hasn't been reported anywhere. The feds pulled up to those New Orleans shows claiming they had intel that Youngboy's ops were coming loaded with serious firepower. They were saying people from Chicago were on the way with heavy artillery like it was about to be a full-blown war. But guess what? It was all a setup. The feds were feeding fake info to the local police just to justify that insane security response. They told New Orleans PD that Kodak Black's crew was supposedly showing up to start trouble. They were talking about shootouts, bloodbaths, the whole movie scene, but none of it was real. There was never a single credible threat from Chicago, from Kodak's team, or from anybody else. The feds were running psychological warfare, trying to scare the local police into canceling the shows or making them too expensive for Youngboy to even perform. But Youngboy's team wasn't folding. They called that bluff hard. They paid the insane security bill over $400,000 per show just to prove a point. They said, "You want to play games? We can play too." And it worked. Both shows went off smooth. No major issues, no chaos, no shootouts, just pure energy from over 17,000 fans each night. The worst thing that happened? A few fans trying to sneak in without tickets and a couple of scuffles in the crowd, normal concert stuff. But of course, the police and media twisted it all up, making it sound like the city was under attack. They even claimed a gun went off when it was just stage equipment breaking down. They exaggerated everything to push the idea that these shows were dangerous when the truth was they just didn't want to see Youngboy win. Meanwhile, Youngboy was backstage every night, minding his business, performing his songs, and showing nothing but love to his fans. He wasn't out here causing chaos, he was just being himself, celebrating his wins with the same people who've had his back since day one. But the establishment, they had already made up their minds. They were determined to find any excuse to keep him from performing again, even if it meant twisting stories or straight up making things up. Then came the birthday walk. That's when everything hit the breaking point. After the second show on his 26th birthday, Youngboy found out that Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick was already planning to ban him from performing in Louisiana again. And get this, that decision came before anything even went down. They were just waiting to use those shows as the excuse they needed to lock him out for good. So Youngboy said, "Forget it," and made a bold move. He hit Bourbon Street alone. No security, no crew, just him walking through the heart of New Orleans like a regular dude. But don't get it twisted, this wasn't random. Sources close to his team said it was all calculated. He knew exactly what he was doing. That solo walk was his way of showing the world that the so-called security concerns were fake. He wanted people to see how much love his city still had for him, and that's exactly what happened. The crowd on Bourbon Street went crazy. Thousands of fans surrounded him, but not out of hate, out of love. People were trying to take pictures, give daps, and celebrate his birthday. The vibe was pure and positive. The police had to come through and pull him out, not because of danger, but because the crowd was too big and blocking traffic. That's how much love he had out there. And here's the part that really ticked off Louisiana officials: the money. Youngboy's shows brought in serious cash for the city. The Smoothie King Center made millions. Hotels were packed, restaurants were booming, the whole city was eating good. But the problem? The state didn't get their cut. They were too busy trying to shut him down to realize they could have cashed in big. Their greed and pride made them miss out, and that's what really burned them up. Sources close to the situation revealed something wild. Those shows brought in over $1.25 billion in economic activity. Yet somehow, the city barely made a profit. Why? Because they blew the budget paying hundreds of cops overtime for security that wasn't even needed. They weren't protecting anyone. They were sending a message that they could still control: Youngboy. Meanwhile, Youngboy was footing the bill for most of that extra security himself. Imagine that, paying the city hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the right to perform in your own home state. And even after that, they still found a reason to complain. The truth is, it was never about safety or rules, it was about power. Youngboy represented everything they couldn't control. Here's a young black man who came up from the roughest parts of Louisiana, took every hit, life threw his way, and still became more successful than most of the politicians trying to shut him down. That's what really made them mad. The day after his famous Bourbon Street walk, Youngboy's manager, Alex Jr., dropped a bomb on social media. He posted that Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick had officially banned Youngboy from performing in Louisiana for as long as she stayed in office. The post said, "Shout out to Twinkie Twinkie for telling us we're never allowed to perform in Louisiana again after these 2 shows." But here's what they don't want people to know: a city police superintendent doesn't even have the legal power to ban someone from performing across an entire state. That's not how the law works. What really happened was that Kirkpatrick started a behind-the-scenes campaign to scare venues and promoters into blacklisting Youngboy. She used threats of increased security fees and police harassment to make booking him too risky and too expensive. It's the same playbook they've used against other successful black artists for years. They can't legally ban you, so instead, they make it impossible for you to perform by draining your pockets and stressing out promoters. It's systematic oppression, dressed up as public safety. And word is Kirkpatrick had this whole plan lined up before Youngboy even hit the stage. Kirkpatrick tried to twist the story, using Youngboy's birthday walk as her excuse, claiming it showed he was irresponsible and dangerous. But everyone knows the truth. His success exposed how the system's been holding other young people back from the same kind of rise. And now, things are about to get real interesting, because Youngboy ain't taking this lying down. According to insiders, he's already linking up with federal civil rights lawyers to file major discrimination lawsuits against the city of New Orleans and the entire state of Louisiana. His legal team says the so-called ban is built on racial discrimination, violating his constitutional rights to free speech and equal protection under the law. They're coming with receipts, to proof that white artists with similar or even worse criminal records have performed in Louisiana without all these crazy security restrictions. But that's not all. Youngboy's gearing up to take it federal. He's reportedly filing complaints with the Department of Justice, calling out how the FBI spread fake intel to local police just to justify that over-the-top security response. If they can prove those agents lied about threats that didn't exist, that's a serious civil rights violation, the kind that could cost the government millions in damages. And the wildest part? He's turning this whole experience into something powerful. Sources say Youngboy is already working on a documentary that'll dig deep into Louisiana's system of oppression, showing how they use public safety as a cover to silence successful black voices. He's flipping the script, using his platform to expose how deep the control really runs. Because let's be honest, this story isn't just about one artist being banned. It's about how the system still tries to crush young black men who refuse to bow down. They can't arrest him anymore. He's been staying clean, beating every case they throw his way, so now they're coming for his career. They're trying to starve him out with economic warfare instead of handcuffs. Think about it. Youngboy's one of the biggest artists in the world. He's making millions, employing hundreds of people, and putting Louisiana on the map. His success should be something the state celebrates. But instead, they're trying to push him out just because they can't control his message. That's not law, that's fear disguised as order. The same police superintendent who banned Youngboy is the exact same one who helped block Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl in his own city. You see the pattern, right? It's a whole system built to stop successful black artists from inspiring the next generation coming out of the hood. And this time, it's gotten way more serious because now the feds are involved. The FBI showing up to Youngboy's concerts with fake intelligence about supposed threats is a major abuse of power that demands an investigation. Sources say the feds have been tailing Youngboy city to city on his tour, spreading the same recycled lies about possible violence, all to get his shows shut down. That's not policing, that's harassment. Straight up. They're not trying to keep people safe. They're trying to crush his career. And get this, they even used Kodak Black's name to stir up more drama, claiming his people were coming to cause trouble. That's how they play, taking real-life rap rivalries and twisting them into fake threats just to justify their overreach. They knew dropping another artist's name would make local cops panic and overreact. But when none of it happened, no shootouts, no chaos, no nothing, it completely exposed their lies. The whole security threat story fell apart. Now, here's where it gets even more ridiculous. By banning Youngboy Louisiana is actually hurting itself. His shows brought millions of dollars into New Orleans, packed hotels, filled restaurants, and gave regular people jobs. But instead of celebrating that success, they'd rather throw all that money away just to prove a political point. They can't control the narrative around his fame, so they'd rather destroy it than admit they were wrong. That's exactly why Louisiana stays stuck at the bottom of every economic ranking in the country, bad leadership and worse priorities. Meanwhile, other states like Texas, Georgia, and Florida are about to cash in big because Youngboy's taking his tours there next. Those states actually appreciate what major entertainment brings to their cities. Louisiana's loss is everybody else's gain. But make no mistake, this goes way beyond money. This isn't just about concerts or cash flow. This is about silencing black voices and controlling how success looks in urban America. When they can't own it, they try to erase it, and that's the real story behind this so-called ban. Youngboy isn't just a rapper, he's hope for every young person who came up from the same struggle he did. When Louisiana bans him from performing in his own home state, they're sending a loud message no matter how far you rise. If you don't play by their rules, they'll find a way to knock you down. That's not just unfair, it's dangerous. It tells a whole generation that success only counts if it's approved by the system. This goes way beyond one artist. It's about the right of black creators to tell their stories, celebrate their success, and inspire the next generation without being silenced. When they hide behind public safety to shut down those voices, what they're really doing is controlling the narrative of what's possible for young black people. They're trying to decide who gets to shine and who doesn't. Now let's talk about the legal side, because Youngboy's team isn't playing. They're putting together a heavy-hitting case built around constitutional violations and civil rights abuse. They're saying this ban violates his First Amendment right to free speech and his 14th Amendment right to equal protection under the law. And they've got evidence to back it up, proof that the extreme security demands placed on Youngboy went way beyond what's ever been required from other artists. And here's the kicker. Some of those other artists have criminal records too, but they were treated way differently. That kind of unfair treatment is exactly why civil rights laws exist in the first place. And if Youngboy's team can prove that the FBI knowingly spread false info to justify their harassment, that's a straight-up civil rights violation at the federal level. This case could get serious real fast. If Youngboy wins this case, it could lead to massive payouts and real policy changes that shake the whole system up. Here's the truth. Youngboy ain't backing down for nobody. He's got the money, the lawyers, and the reach to put every corrupt move on blast. Louisiana thought they could pressure him into silence, but they picked the wrong one this time. This case is about to set a new standard for how successful black artists are treated by law enforcement and local government. If Youngboy wins his civil rights lawsuit, it'll make it way harder for other cities and states to hide behind public safety when they're really just discriminating against black entertainers. That's real change in the making. And the biggest twist? By trying to silence him, they actually made his voice louder. His upcoming documentary on systemic oppression in Louisiana is going to reach millions, exposing how they really treat black men who refuse to bow down. They tried to block his success, but all they did was help him prove his point to the entire world. That birthday walk through Bourbon Street wasn't just a party, it was a statement. It showed he belongs to Louisiana just as much as anyone else. The fact that they twisted that beautiful moment of love and unity into an excuse to ban him says everything about how broken their priorities are. But trust me, this fight is far from over. Youngboy's ready to take this all the way up, even to the Supreme Court if that's what it takes. And when he wins, and yeah, he's gonna win, it'll change how the system treats successful black artists forever. What do you think about all this? Do you believe Youngboy's gonna win his civil rights case against Louisiana? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned because this story's just heating up. The system tried to break Youngboy, but all they did was make him stronger, louder, and more unstoppable than ever.